Between 2018 and 2019, I spent about 2,000 hours writing a book with the idea of changing my life. In this video, I'll share with you how I did it, why it didn't work in the way I hoped, and how things turned out in the end. So, come with me, it's story time. I was 31. I had no career, no savings. I just got off a pretty long and toxic relationship, and I had no plans for the future. The only thing I had was a dead-end job to pay the bills. But things turned around when I met my future wife. All of a sudden, I was happy. I wanted to build a new life, a family, the whole package. And I wasn't afraid to work hard or dedicate all myself to the project, but I wanted to be fulfilling. Because what's the point of working hard to build a new life if the work itself makes you miserable, right? So I thought I could write a novel. Was it a stupid idea? Yes. Oversaturated market, less and less readers every year, all those publishing houses in the middle. But I thought, if it worked for J.K. Rowling, it can work for me, right? I know it sounds silly, but at that point I had been writing for a long time. I had classes, I had even a couple of good short stories under my belt. So since I was starting from scratch anyways, why not taking a shot and pursue the dream of being a writer? The point wasn't to write a world-class success, just something good enough to get me into the industry and then build from there. All in all, it felt pretty reasonable, so I got started. Here's my routine to write the book. 5 a.m. wake up. From 5 to 7 a.m. writing. 7:30 going to work. Lunch break, writing. 6:30 p.m. back from work. 9 to 11 p.m. writing. Then sleeping and repeat. I went on like that for 6 months and I still didn't have a story. Didn't I mention it? I wanted to write a book, but I didn't have a story. I knew it was something contemporary, and I knew that I wanted a Bukowskian vibe, but I didn't have an actual story. I had scenes though, lots and lots of ideas for small scenes, so I started writing those, matching the character's name and the general vibe, hoping that something will eventually happen. And actually, it did. After 8 months, the story started to take shape, at least in my head. So I kept writing, but that was actually a huge mistake. But more on that later. So I kept writing, and around April 2019, the book was done. And to be honest, I was pretty happy with the result. So what did I do? I edited a few things and sent it out to the publishing houses. Other mistake. We'll get to that as well. The thing is that when you send a manuscript to a publishing house, you have 6 to 9 months of waiting, and even if they are interested and they respond, then you have the editing, a whole bunch of work, then scheduling the publications. It can take a year and a half. So in the best case scenario, I had 2 years to kill before anything could happen. So I had to make a choice, writing another book or coming up with a plan B in case the book thing didn't work. At that point, I was already a year and a half in, still working on my dead-end job, still wanting to build a family, but with no real sign of a change in the future at the horizon. Starting another book without any guarantee of any real possible results in the future didn't seem reasonable at that point. So I went with the plan B and I started to do some freelance writing on the side of my dead-end job. And building a side business helped me a lot, keeping the mind busy while I was waiting for answers from the publishing houses. And eventually I got something. The first answer came 4 months later. Hi, we read your book and it's not for us. We got the general idea you were shooting for, but all in all, it's like reading a head full of noise. I read that email and thought, okay, maybe it's not perfect, but just one opinion. let's see what else I can get. And I kept waiting, doing my freelance writing stuff and waiting again. And 10 months went by and I didn't get any other answer. So I thought, well, write the book in Italian was a mistake. I should have written in English right from the start. Let's translate this sucker. So I read it again for the first time after 10 months. And it was awful. The tone of voice was completely wrong, hostile and depressing, which was far away from my original intentions. But the worst thing was the story. Remember when I said that after 8 months the story started to come together and that I kept writing and that was a huge mistake? Well, yeah, I should have stopped and worked on the story and create an outline and then go on with the writing. So, why didn't I do it? Because it was my first long project and I wasn't ready. I knew about the 3-act narrative, setup, conflict and resolution, but to be honest, my storytelling kung fu wasn't very sharp at the time. And the second mistake was to send it out right away. I should have waited at least 3 months to take some mental distance from the work and then read it back again and do a proper, start to finish edit. But I was impatient. I wanted to change my life, to do something. And I screw up big time. The manuscript was a disaster. Things that were supposed to be at the beginning were at the end. Things that were supposed to be at the end were at the beginning. I was reading it back and it didn't even felt like a story. It was just a bunch of noise. The only editor that answered back to me was right all along. I didn't write a novel. I just put noise on paper. I felt empty, naive, stupid, like I spent a year and a half hoping to win the lottery, buying 1 ticket. It was quite a hit, and it's been a couple of years since I started writing fiction again after that. But the freelance writing stuff was going pretty well. In fact, it was going so well that 9 months after the novel disaster, I quit my dead-end job and now I'm doing the freelance writer full-time. Was it scary? Yes. Was it worth it? Oh yeah. Did I give up writing a novel? Not a chance. But this time I will be smart about it and it will be a real story, not just noise. And this brings us to the final question. Should you write your novel? Because if you made it this far into the video, I think that's what you'd like to know. And the answer is abso-freaking-lutely. By writing your own novel, you learn at least 2 things. First, that you can. And that's something that no one can take away from you. And second, you'll know if being a writer is something that you would like to pursue, indefinitely. Because it's not all fun and games, so that's a very important thing to consider. Not to mention the fact that every time you put yourself into something so challenging and difficult, you will grow as a person in ways that you will never expect. And that's a nice third bonus. And this was it for today's story time. Press the like button if you liked the video and subscribe if you're interested in more writing content for the future. I know it's weird around here, but I'm working on making this place a little more nice. I kinda like the super moody vibe. I don't know. Maybe just ugly. Hope not. Anyway, yeah, subscribe, like. I'll see you next week. Right on, my friend. Right on.